One. Welcome to the Only Small Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. We're live in the studio on Thursday, and I'm joined by Nick Pert. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, and I'm also joined live via the airwaves, Mr. Tom Layton, notorious Warhammer 40,000 player. Hello, Tom.
I'm not a fan of the Twitch overlay update. It looks weird.
What's wrong with it?
What's wrong?
I don't know. I don't know. It just the fonts all changed and it's made me very upset.
Is it because you're
why would you
sandwiched
say
between
that when
us?
We've just gone live. It makes no
I don't know.
sense.
Everyone can watch on YouTube instead. It's fine.
Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to the show. If you are listening to the podcast, I want to say thanks very much. Please stay as hydrated as possible, especially as we go into the winter months and you want some warm drinks. If you are having a hot toddy,
A hot beverage.
Make sure you have an accompanying glass of water.
And eat loads of bread.
No,
Pile on those carbs and that fat to keep you warm during the winter.
don't do that. That's terrible advice.
Loads
from
of
Nicholas.
bread.
Nope. A lot of nuts. A lot of people don't eat a lot of nuts. Eat more nuts if you can, and also remember, stay environmentally conscious of your carbon footprint.
I'll see if Dick can send over some nuts for us.
Put Dick's nuts in your mouth.
And if you are watching us on Twitch, I want to say thank you for subscribing. And if you are one of our incredible patrons, I want to say thank you to you too. I hope you're having a great day and life is good. So welcome to the show, Thursday. There's lots to say and also not lots to say. It's a kind of interesting place with 40k, I would say. I would say that everyone is still trying to break Space Marines.
Yeah. It's
And
like
Games
the
Workshop
all over
smashed
again.
it with the Iron Hands book. Well done.
I mean, it's overloaded, but we can get onto that another time.
Okay, which is interesting, and we'll talk about the news quickly. There's also been some hot gossip, which we're obviously going to approach as well. And then finally, I brought a rundown to the show, an oldie but a goldie. I would like to say it's actually a rundown that we've done previously, but I just wanted to reinforce it because I actually think there's maybe I should have done it 6 months ago, but I still think in a current kind of environment. It's a great pick, and I'm going to try and run it at the next tournament I go to.
Well,
Should we give
it's
the
a
viewers
great
a sneak
model,
preview?
so it's always a great pick.
Yeah, Nick's going to show you a great preview. There you go. That's a preview. I mean, it says it on the overlay, but fine.
We can have him fight my Jane Zara and it'll be fine.
Yes, perfect. He'll win, by the way. Hi Heinrad, Full Grima, De Bolt, Penguin 2000. Heinrad says, who cares about Space Marines? I'm loving that Jane Zara model. Couldn't agree more. We'll talk about that in a minute. Viking DX says, there you guys are.
Here we are.
This is
Here we
us.
are. Hello.
Imperial Pimp Slap says, by the way, great Twitch name.
Great name.
Imperial Pimp Slap. Woo, I got online in time for the second best show of the week. First being AOS, of course. Oh, sorry, guys. I mean, I'm on both.
There's a common denominator. Yeah.
And then Alan says, Hoot Goss. Team MX says, word up Honest Wargamer folks. And Mortland Orlando says, saw a video on YouTube just about yellow cards at LGT.
Oh, of course he's seen it. There you go.
Yeah.
I wonder if that video's got more views than the Alex Harrison one.
Potentially.
Let me go and find out.
Alex Harrison Gate. All right, so I'll go stop impersonating my team and go be James. Okay, you do that. So welcome everyone to the show. Thanks for being here. But before we go any more, Nick, how have you been the past week? Warhammer 40,000 and you, what's been going on?
This week, I have been mostly playing Hogs of War.
What is that?
It's a very old PlayStation game I've got on my phone now.
Do you find it sometimes hard to stay focused on the hobby 52 weeks a year? It's a lot to ask of anyone, I think.
Yeah, I've also been doing a lot of hobby though, and I've also played some 40k.
Oh,
I played a couple of games.
But tell me more about Hogs of War, because I do actually want to know.
It's basically it's worms, but 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
And your pigs level up and can class them as like an engineer. And yeah, it's really fun.
It's hilarious. It's a PlayStation 1 game, and I also remember playing it as well and chuckling with my brother because you get there's all sorts of pig-related memes and puns.
Yeah. Born to grill.
Born to grill. And also made me think, how great would it be to replace all of the heads of a Space Marine? You know the new Primaris Marines? Take all of the heads and replace them with a different I was thinking Seraphon heads. So from the just have them be lizard gangsters. I thought that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But also pig heads.
Pigs would be quite cool.
I already want to do that with my orcs, or as I'd call them, porks.
Porks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think just pig-shaped helmets would be quite freaky.
Oh, pig-shaped helmets
Maybe
would
like-
be
I
amazing.
mean,
like
a lot of
Chaos,
rings do
a bit
pig-shaped
of
orc
Chaos.
helmets, don't they? You can have a look at that.
What, pig shit? No.
I thought
You'd want
it-
some like 3D printed.
I don't
There's
know.
that guy, Pop Goes the Monkey. He does that. He does 3D printing additional elements. So if you want like,
nice.
yeah. Have you never seen that?
No.
Oh man, yeah. You can buy like 10 packs of like chain swords. Like he does like all the like additional elements that you maybe would buy an entire box for, and you just buy them as like a 10 pack.
Nice.
They're really cool.
Yeah.
Pop Goes the Monkey is what it would be called.
Yeah. And we say we don't have sponsors.
It's not a sponsor.
no.
If you would like to send us
But we're
tons
still
of free
plugging
stuff,
anyway.
yeah. Imperial Pimps. That's what balls. Now I feel bad. Nick and Tom are gorgeous men. You are gorgeous.
Poor Rob.
Well, yeah, he's insulted the show, then cussed me out. Was it? By the way, is it voiced by Rick Mail?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's like little cutscenes between each island that you complete, and it's funny.
Is he doing it in character as Lord Flashheart?
No, he's just like he's like an army general, like an old school "oh hello" kind of army general.
Oh, hello.
Kind of voice. Yeah, it's funny.
Talking
But
about
in terms of Warhammer, I've played a couple of games against Iron Hands, and they are fucking resilient as shit.
you tried not to swear on the show.
Tried, but it just came out.
Warp Spider and Dionysus. Hi, Dick Van der Hoosen. Thank you for subscribing for 2 months and for 15 months. And he says, "Hi guys, it has been a while, but I hope to hear you ripping into Marines all night. No problem."
We're ripping
No
into a Marine player, but
Yeah, that's the plan. All right. And what did you find like most offensive about them?
Well, maybe it was just a bit of a bad matchup for my list because I had a lot of autocannons and damage to weapons. So my friend James had the Ironstone relic, so all of my damage was reduced
that's
by
filthy,
1.
that thing.
So all of my damage 2 became 1, so it just reduced my army's output by 50% just because.
But isn't
So
there also a stratagem that halves the amount of damage? And
on
then
dreadnoughts
that,
only, yeah.
that is -1, yeah. So what you end up doing is, let's say you've got a last cannon, the maximum amount of damage it can do. When you combo those two things together is 2.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So what I did in those, we played sort of two games. What I did in pretty much both games is kill everything else and then focus on the hard stuff. First game he had like some dreadnoughts and a fire raptor, but I killed the fire raptor pretty quickly, so we decided it wasn't really worth it because if you go first, you get the points out of it, but if you go second, you probably don't because it dies. So then he swapped to a double Leviathan list, which basically I couldn't kill the Leviathans at all. I just couldn't touch them. So I just killed everything else, but just the Leviathans were just whomping around all game. But we played Games Workshop missions, so I was able to play around the scenario. If it was like ITC, I just wouldn't have won those games at all. But because it was Games Workshop missions, it gave me a chance to win the mission rather than just have to kill something to win the game. But yeah, they were just really, really resilient. And if you and it's kind of like it almost had like Necron syndrome, where if you're playing Necrons, you've got to kill the thing or the unit till it's dead, else it might come back and bite you in the arse. So I killed like in one game he had a Predator, and the other game he obviously had more Dreadnoughts. But like I'll kill the Dreadnought or the Predator down to like 2 wounds, but then next turn I'll heal it almost back to full. So I killed a Predator 3 times over, but it was still on the board.
So we haven't seen a new edition of the game, but we might have seen a power spike in that book, which is really sad. I listened to someone today try to justify the difference between the Iron Hands book and the Raven Guard book. The response being, "You're gonna have to be a smart player to use the Raven Guard book." And I was like, "You keep getting those free books off that company, young man. You keep trying really hard." Like the Iron Hands thing is just dumb. Tom, what are your thoughts on it?
I think the Iron Hands are pretty overloaded with lots of different rules. What I'm trying to work out is where you actually get the build from, because normally your build just kind of excels at one specific thing, and it's not necessarily like one thing, but there's lots of different things. So I'm interested to see. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about like building around dreadnoughts and what have you, but even then, like if you do that, you end up using a strat on one where you just kill a different one, and then dreadnoughts weren't particularly great beforehand. I know Nikos, you were using them quite a bit, so I'm interested to see what kind of builds come out, and then I can fully evaluate the list. But at the minute, I'm just waiting on that.
Okay, fair enough.
What's quite interesting, Team James Workshop are going to the next GW team event.
Brave of you.
And Paul's taking Eldar. But me, Andy, and James are all taking Iron Hands. So our challenge is because you can't duplicate things across the team. So our challenge is to write 3 viable sort of Iron Hands lists, but without duplicating.
Can you duplicate relics?
No.
Can you duplicate troops choices?
You can duplicate troops choices and transports, but you can't duplicate anything else.
Well, it's
by
all about
3.
Ferius, right? It's all about that badass tech
Yeah,
marine.
one of us has got that. Yeah.
Okay, the guy that has to play the easiest.
Well, so the list that I'm currently using at the minute, I'm calling it my hide and go seek list.
Right.
So a proportion of the army hides. So it's a couple of Thunderfire cannons and a whirlwind Scorpius hides, and then there's some troops to screen that. But then the rest of it is in 2 drop pods that just Alpha Strikes, comes down and shoots a load of grav at someone, basically. So that's the list I'm going to run.
Okay.
Cool.
See if grav guns are any good.
I think grav guns are great, personally, especially with the new doctrines. I was actually looking at those the other day. I was actually thinking they've had a huge uptick. But more on that later. Some people in the chat say, Element Exchange says the best in faction stream game became 2 games, both lasting 2 turns with a crazy Ironstone repulsor build. Imperial Pimp says, I heard on an inferior podcast source that Ironhand's Leviathan, with full ridiculous buffs for 2 turns against a Titan shooting, can lives for 2 turns against a Titan shooting.
Yeah, I think James posted an article to us where someone had done some very statistical math hammering. And
So that was the Goon Hammer article.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Goon
Oh,
Hammer
right.
article,
And it
which
was
is a great article, by
And
the
it
way.
was something like to kill a Leviathan with all the buffs, you need 56 Slavs cannons.
Seems about
So
right.
it's like, yeah.
Okay.
Crazy good.
Danger Mouse says, Hi, Sons of Medusa fan here. What's the best way to make sure everyone knew I was an Iron Hands player before they were cool? I don't want people to think I'm a bandwagoner. Actually, Nikos is the original Iron Hands player.
Yeah, I've always been an Iron Hands player for a long time, so just keep saying it. Fake it till you make
You
it.
just keep saying it. Photoshop is really easy to know.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what deepfakes are?
Yeah.
Yes, do one of those.
Okay, if everyone at home doesn't, I was hoping neither one of you at least would not know, but I'll explain it anyway. If you guys at home don't know, deepfake is where someone uses some computer rendering to basically take someone's face and apply it to someone else's face. Then
Rob.
yeah.
Very quickly, don't tell him I'll make porn of all of us.
Yes. But it's not that far off being able to use someone else's face and make them say things in a video, which obviously is quite scary. But you could just do that, just deep fake your own face onto that of a small child,
Yeah.
but with the beard. The whole thing is like, hi, Lawrence! Like a 1980s Games Workshop video.
Just like a video of you
Oh, no.
walking into Games Workshop for the first time.
Yeah.
One Furious Menace, please.
I can't wait for the new Marines to smash face, then the new Eldar book to drop, and all that to be forgotten. Couldn't agree with you
Ooh.
more. Can't wait
It's going to
talk
be
about that
so
in a minute.
good.
Yeah, and Viking says, no, the smart player picks Iron Hands, which is correct, instead of picking Raven Guard. Saurus Knight Fire Raptors are so cool, but they die so quick. I ran one for the heats and got a turn out of it, sometimes on top bracket. Well, that's nice.
Yeah,
I mean-
they're just such a big target, though, aren't they? Yeah.
If you want to buy a Fire Raptor, you have to be prepared to spend more time assembling the thing than actually playing with it. Just because it takes so long to assemble. It's actually horrendous.
Yeah, agreed. It's awful. MacFear, also, thank you for subscribing for 3 months in a row. Get last week's podcast fixed already. I've checked it today. It's fixed.
I've had a look and I couldn't see it on there.
It's 1,800 downloads. All right,
really?
I'm going to double check
Maybe
it.
it's just certain apps.
I don't know what I've done.
1,800 people can't listen to the podcast.
Well, no, but they must have. I don't know. I'll try it again.
I'll check it later.
Apologies.
It'll be
Also, thank you for subscribing. Don't need to make porn of all of you. This is porn enough, says Viking XD. Correct. Penguin 2000 says, sounds like how I have to explain I've had my Tau army since they first came out in 3rd edition. I promise you, I've had broadsides and missile pods.
I've just
I've
always
always had them.
9 board
Do you
sides.
still use the small metal ones?
He should use the small well ones.
Yeah.
Is there an official ruling on base sizing? I assume that it's got to be on that, right?
I don't think there is
There
for
is an
40k.
ETC. There is an ETC FAQ,
Okay.
and then, yeah, so I have no problem. You guys enjoy.
Okay.
Us
Fucking
plebs will
gentlemen,
just enjoy
good day.
whatever.
Dinos,
You can use it too if you want.
what?
Well, the ETC FAQ.
Yeah, I would like to.
There you go.
Dinus just says, here I am running my Necrons, knowing again it's going to be futile for the next coming months, just like last year when Yunari was a thing. Agreed. So we haven't yet fully digested the Iron Hands supplement along with the Raven Guard, nor even the Space Marine book. It's pretty vast. Obviously there's a bunch of people kicking out the meta builds, if you will, but not really. They're all effectively saying the same thing. Take this easy plug and play unit, just repeat, fire off.
If you're a Space Marine player, it means you probably knew at the game. Here's a easy to use army. Off you go, have fun.
Yeah, but it's an easy to use, really strong army.
Yeah, there you go. It's almost like Imperial Knights.
It's almost like Imperial.
I've got a slightly random point, but it's amusing. I had recently about list design.
Yeah.
And it comes from when I'm hobbying. Quite a lot of what I've watched when I'm hobbying is a Warcraft 3 streamer called Grubby. And
I think I've seen him on Twitter.
The way when he's playing and he's building your army, because it's an RTS where you have a hero and different units, and they all synergize differently together. So when he's like building his force, he might have like one of one unit or two of another unit, and then mainly like some melee or ranged or whatever, depending on what he's playing. But it just made me think about spamming units in 40k. Like quite often people they go, oh, this unit's good, I'll have 3 of them. This unit's good, I'll have 3 of them. But just watching him play and the way he sort of builds the synergy in his army made me think more about not just doing that. So I've kind of taken a bit more of an approach recently of just like 1 or 2 things. Like when I went to the Hellstorm list, I had just 1 Thunderfire cannon just because it gave me that tool in my toolkit to get things that I can't see. So I just thought I'd throw that random thought.
Yeah, I think the difference is when you're building a list around a certain unit, you take 3 because you're wanting to do that role as well and as much as you physically can.
Yeah.
When you're building something to do a specific role to help that function, 1 or 2 normally works. Because if you're taking 2, you're basically taking the second one for redundancy in case you lose the first unit. Yeah. Although someone did send me something earlier where a guy was commenting on a Facebook thread saying, "Oh, if you've got more than 1 Imperial Knight in your army, it's just a sign of a bad list."
Yeah, no, I saw that earlier as well.
That made me chuckle a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think 40k is so. You look at the Iron Hands book as an example, right? Like it's like Ferius goes in the list. You're like, cool. Like, what else? You like, and there are other options, right? But like what he does and what he's able to bring to the list is so underpointed that you just take that. So I would say that the list building in 40k is less inspired in a lot of ways because apart from not for the obvious builds, not for the things that you pilot. I'm thinking about the Castellan lists as an example when they're around Castellan Blood Angels, Captain, the Guard. Like I didn't think it was something that you piloted. It's just like same with the planes, really. The 9 flyers, you just rock them down, right?
I think if it was...
I think just very quickly, I think the planes list is actually harder to use than. I don't think it's hard to use, but I do think it's harder than it's often portrayed as because it just looks like you're flying around with the planes and what have you. It's like, oh, we'll just kill all the stuff. Oh, you know what I mean? So
that's a good point.
I'd be careful about because you've got to be very careful. I mean, it's quite forgiving with the Vector Dancer, which allows you to turn when you arrive, but you start to be thinking a few turns ahead, and you still have to have that kind of game knowledge. Does that make sense?
That was the point I was going to make. I think if they didn't have the double turn, it would be actually a challenging list to play.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's challenging. I'm saying it's not like easy.
But my point is about the redundancy conversation.
Oh right, sorry.
No, it's a good point, yeah. and well pointed out. As James in the chat said as well. Like, so maybe I'm giving it too much credence, having not played with it, played against it, not fun. Played with it, nay. What I was trying to say is that the game like is wildly imbalanced, but all of the games are from Games Workshop, so just like strap in for the ride. It's real fun. It's not a criticism, it's a statement of fact. But what's interesting and exciting about that is that, especially for 40k list writing, that it really polarizes it when you get a book where some things are so obviously better than other things. Just take Tactical Marines versus like Primaris Marines, Intercessor Squads as an example. You just go, cool, that's not as good as that. So that's the end of that conversation.
Chaos Space Marines is a good example.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a whole codex versus the others. Anyway, my point is I think that's where you see the redundancy. It's not actually. I would argue it's not actually redundancy. It's just tripling down on the really efficient thing.
Right, which is why that's the pivot for your army, right? Because if that's the thing that's like carrying the game for you, which is why I tripled down on the Thunderfire cannons because it gives me the most efficiency I can get out of my Seal of Oath.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, so I'd say that you less see redundancy put in, you just see doubling or tripling down on just really,
some lists like that.
Really good shit. Oh, that's damn. Someone in the chat, who's hotter than Supernova, more attractive than Supermassive Roll, the Roblin, thanks Perkysaurus. Someone in the chat, Alandrel really wants me to say Iron Hands, Stormhawks, and Storm Talons. He thinks they're hidden tech. They think it's hidden
They're,
tech.
they're the flyers, right?
They are, but Iron Hands versions, all about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
the interesting thing with those kinds of units is, firstly, that you get the reroll ones to hit on your heavy weapons as standard, but you can also take lieutenants with the jump packs just to follow them around, and then you're getting rerolls ones to hit and to wound most of the time. They're more durable than standard flyers, right? Because you've got the 6+ feel no pain, which now extends to vehicles, and you have access to the half wound stratagem as well. You're not going to get as much value. Oh, is that only dreadnoughts actually?
Yes, the half damage thing is only dreadnoughts. Can I just make a point about the for Iron Hands near the 6-up DPR or Feel No Pain, whatever you want to call it? My friend Andy basically come up for a name for it specifically for Iron Hands. He calls it Fear No Damage. So if everyone could just start using that for Iron
Hands. The flesh
is
is weak. Yeah, fear no damage.
Fear no damage roll.
All right. Tom, I haven't even asked you yet. How are you doing this week?
Yeah, I'm fine, dude. Not been too well this week, but that's okay. It's I blame kids and the start of autumn.
That's true. That's true. Is it? Am I right?
Coming.
Did I hear that it was actually Nick Nanavati that made you ill because he gave you such a drubbing at the LGT?
Yeah, that's totally what happened. Yeah. I think everyone should go and watch the game. It's actually live on Hellstone Wars Gaming's YouTube channel if you want to go check that out. I also play James Ramsey. That's now live as well. So both
also,
those
if you
VODs
could
are available
subscribe
to
to
watch.
the channel, but then unsubscribe,
Yeah.
just to give Mikey a brain aneurysm, that would be hilarious and totally worth doing all day long. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's fun. So you're okay? You're fine?
Yeah, I'm fine, bro. I'm fine.
Played any Warhammer?
Playing Warhammer?
No, not at all.
Have you been repainting your army in the colour of the Iron Hands?
No, well, no, I'm not going to run it on hands. I've been painting some Ultramarines for a trios event at the end of the month, and that's about it, really. Not too much else going on for me. It's been pretty chill.
So news, the Iron Hands book's out, obviously. A lot of Salamander stuff is leaked, but the big goss is that they've carried on the Psychic Awakening as we patiently wait for Gazgul Thraka.
Slowly waking up. It's like an alarm clock that they keep snoozing.
Yes. They've the Psychic Awakening is an approach, and they have unveiled Jane Zar, Tom.
It is cool. I do like it.
Do you want to tell us about this?
So Jane Zara is the kind of big bad dog of Howling Banshees, and it was something I've always using at the start of the year because I think it's actually kind of hilarious. So it's like 110 points. You can't overwatch against it. It's got a 2-up save character that just runs around. I mean, you can quicken it and move it twice, and it's kind of funny. And it can advance and charge. I mean, it gets like a +3 to its charge range or something silly. But we've also given it an extra special rule, so whereby instead of using a normal attacks profile, which is 4, you can get a number of attacks equal to the number of models within 2 inches after she piles in. So that gives her a little bit of spice as well, but I'm not sure it's enough to change her. I still think she's kind of a niche unit, but she's a hell of a lot of fun to play.
If it makes you feel any better, I used to run a character in Age of Sigmar who had a similar rule, but within 3 inches. And coherency, and that is an inch, not 2. Like it is.
Yeah, so you get loads more.
Loads more, and it was not as impressive as you would think overall. Like it would be good, but like running it on its own, like I don't know, like you are running a character model into it because you are running it into a horde. So it might be taking a horde's worth of Overwatch in this case, also maybe a horde's worth of combat back. But still, but the model is just great.
It's so cool.
And like Viking DX in the chat says, we do need a butt shot of that model because hench AF, just so toit, toit like Tony the Tiger.
Could be the armor. Could you be flattering armor?
Wait a minute. Do you know what you just said, Rob?
Well,
do you know about the furries and Tony the Tiger?
Do I know about the furries? I know that guy who melted his own hands off to get paws.
Oh no, don't talk. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, well let's not talk about
that. There was a thing where a bunch of furries drove Tony the Tiger off Twitter by just posting lots of depraved crap in his comments.
Oh my god! What, from Frosties? From the cereal Frosties?
Yeah, they made like a Twitter account for Tony the Tiger, and then a bunch of furries decided that he was their daddy, so they went onto his page, and every time he tweeted, the comments would just be full of depraved crap.
Oh my god, let's do this to Duncan.
Let's make him a sex symbol.
Let's deep fake his face. C. Rinser says Psychic Awakening, the new malign portents. Couldn't agree with that more. And also Andy Dunn in the chat, who is a fantastic individual, by the way, has said that his hobby recently has been reading Black Library novels. They are the best.
Oh, really?
Hardback, of course. I couldn't agree with him more. Which is
Someone
basically
keeps
all I've been
saying
doing.
they're great.
That's all I've been doing this week is buying and reading Black Library books, specifically though from the Age of Sigmar range. 40k one's fine. But,
Why?
It's just better, really. All the horror series, any of those are great books, worth a read. Alan Draw says the thing that is killing me with the salamanders is the conflicting rumours on whether or not their doctrine kicker has the +1 to hit with the 12 inches. So very excited. Games Workshop just needs to release those models so I can give them my money. Talking about, I'm assuming, the new Howling Banshees. I would say that it's nice to see the Eldar get an update. Some of the older models. No, hold
you
on.
mean the models, not the book?
The models only.
Yeah, not the models, not the book. We'll get onto that in a moment.
Horrible to see them. It's terrifying to imagine them getting a rules update.
I know. I was wondering
Look what they've
terrifying.
done with Space Marines. They
know.
took Space Marines from trash tier and they've made them mental. Now they're going to look at the Eldar book and go, I reckon we can
these need
spice this up a little
A bit
bit.
fixing, don't they now?
No, I don't want them spicing up. Tom, your thoughts? And actually, I honestly got a little bit anxious then. My test. Oh, that
What
won't chest.
don't you want amping
My
up the
balls
Marines?
just shot up.
Yeah, right up.
Right up.
How do you feel
You're inside
about the obvious upcoming Eldar Codex release?
Sad, because I like my current one. Don't take it away, please.
Okay, but
Yeah,
what
but Tom,
if
they might change Doom.
what if
Yeah,
Tom,
no, don't take it away.
no, Tom,
Please.
what if they upscale the power level of Eldar the same amount they upscaled the power level of Space Marines?
I'd go and play a different game.
Like Hogs of War.
I don't like.
Would it be Hogs of War?
I think everyone's like really hyped for Space Marines, and I think that's cool. But I don't think Space Marines are actually just going to dominate the game. There's a lot of options in there, and I think you'll see a lot of them at ETC specifically because they give a lot of options that are really valuable at ETC, like ignoring line of sight for shooting. That's really, really valuable with ETC, so I think you'll see it a lot there, but I don't think Marines are going to absolutely dominate the game. I think they're going to be competitive now, and they're going to be kind of like one of the higher-end books, but I don't know. I think the Marine update is fine, honestly.
Okay. So you've got loads of visual delay, Nick. I'm going to try and sort that out. I don't know what's going on there. It's a weird one. It's just programmed in. Anyway, well, I'm not excited about it. Viking says you leave Duncan alone.
No, you leave Duncan alone, you pervs.
Duncan's face plus Tom's hair equals rated 18. Thanks. I'm going to have a look at whatever's going on with Nick's camera. And then ignore that if you're aware, of course, irrelevant to the podcast. Surferdib says, even though, is Nicholas camera in the same room as Rob? Big visual delay? I don't think so. I'll try and sort it out. Rob, don't believe that Space Marines will not dominate the game. Space Marines will dominate the game, says Valerie. I think that people want to play Space Marines anyway. And
Yeah, I think they will. If it depends what your definition of dominate is. If you go to a tournament, there's Marines everywhere. It's because they're just out. Everyone loves Marines, and I'm sure everyone's really excited to get on the table. So
What I'm saying is, will you see, let's say at the top 8 of events, will you see free Marine lists every time you go?
No, they'll have had to pay for them.
Oh, they'll have had to have a ref count the table.
Just sometimes it sounds like he says free. That's just my joke. It's not that funny.
yeah.
It's not that funny. And then Emma Exchange says, I'm switching my list building from anti-knight to anti-marines. I think there's going to be a lot of moves on the board because people are going to be excited. There's a new model range.
Yeah.
People are going to take eliminators. I think characters are
Infiltrators specifically are a problem.
I think characters are not going to be particularly safe. So we talk about that Iron Hands character.
Yeah,
But I reckon he could get
Ferios.
Yeah, Ferios. But I reckon he can get eliminated off the board pretty quick in a Space Marine matchup.
72 points for 3 eliminators.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I
That's
don't
good,
think they
isn't
do
it?
that much damage though. They've only got one shot each.
They provide a lot of value. Oh, they can get D3 shots each, can't they?
D3 shot or
They
a
have
D3
different
damage one.
profiles. But I think the point is that you can spend about 210 points and get 9 of them. So you're doing the work. Anyway, I personally don't want the Eldar book to come out ever in 1,000 years.
No.
I want it to be.
But if it were to come out, they do have all the craft worlds to do like craft world supplements, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
similar
I think that's
similar
cool.
to the Marine thing.
We've talked about that before as well.
Let's
I would
just hope
like
that
it if
never
this,
happens.
I would like it if they do what they've done with the Space Marine book to, or as much as it's a giant cash grab. I would actually like it, and it might be what we're actually seeing because if they're showing off the Eldar like characters and units that they're going to be releasing, they might be like, it might not just be a giant codex release. It might be the Eldar codex as we expect, and then some additional little characters for the different craft worlds. And I actually think that'd be pretty rad if they did that through. If that's what they did for the next 2 years. I mean, it's literally buying all of the codexes again. But we're all on that cash train, so let's just...
Fine, Russia's got us covered.
Yeah, right.
Thank Mr. Russia.
And then CW Crider says, lol, everyone bandwagon eliminators. Meanwhile, I'll stand by my 30 rattlings. That's fair. And then... and a bit, Conservative says, Marines need to be a little bit more worse than they seem right now to promote people into other factions. But while Marines get so much love in the product line, it's good that they are good and people get to have fun with them. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I also think that if you do stray away, especially as a new player, if you walk in, you see all of the Marine stuff, you see all of the branding, you probably will have seen the Marine stuff before you ever turned up at Games Workshop, and then you walk in, and then for some reason, like Tyranids, you go, oh yeah, gribbly monsters, like that's cool. Like I think, or Necrons, obviously. Well, I don't know why you would be impressed by those, but that's fine. But what I mean is if you go in and then you just look at it and you think, oh, actually, eschew all of that huge part of the store. I actually want that weird looking monster over there instead. I think that's great, personally. So, like, what I mean is it's going to be a different play style and a little bit harder to do, whereas I think the Marine stuff should be quite on the nose and a little bit blunt for new players, be a bit simple.
I mean, I think it can be that, but I also think there's a lot of room to really stack a bunch of like rules together and create quite an interesting list, right? So I think it's kind of easy to pick up but hard to master. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed, and that's why I think it's taking, like as you've said, so much. Like I've been reading loads, especially if you want to go and read great articles. I'd go read the Goonhammer articles. I've been interested in those, and I think that they're fantastic. So
yeah, James does a good job.
Yeah, totally worth a read. So please do. Okay, so new model. Tom, are you excited? Twitch chat, are you all excited about Jane Czar and his swole legs?
I mean, I'm still going to use my old Jane Czar because I like to model for advantage, but I might get a yellow card for saying that.
Fearless.
Fearless.
Nick?
No, I really like it. It's really cool.
You like it, the model?
Yeah.
Yes, it looks really cool. But my question is,
yeah.
Jane Czar or the Troll Hag?
What's a troll hag? I think I've missed a reference here.
Troll hag is a gorgeous creature that you can buy from Forge World. Arguably, actually, you just use
model of the year.
Sexiest model of the year,
3 years
2014, 2019. Also, absolutely, you could use that as a proxy for Jane Czar.
Pretty much, yeah.
So what you guys just got was a live reaction of me seeing the troll hag. It's got a thick booty. Look at that.
It has got a thick booty. And then Watchman says James Arkham mug off worst aspect warrior. Penguin 2000 says by all model do you mean a crystal? Sneaky Wolf, they will FAQ it, enough people are complaining. I think they should let books shake out for a few months before updating the format like Magic the Gathering, etc. Talking about the new books. Sneaky Wolf, we had this happen in the Age of Sigmar community like at the beginning of the year when they released some of the rules don't need shaking up. Just like we're all pretty good wargamers at this stage. You can release a book and we're all pretty much like, do you know what? 110 points for Ferius. That's too cheap. Like it's not bad having him. Just pay the points cost. What about Gulliman?
Can you give him? You can't give Ferius relics, can you? Because the name character.
No.
All right, so you have to give a relic to one guy and Ferius some other guff. Yeah.
Wolf Brother, thank you for subscribing for 40 months. FYI. Symptoms at the bottom of Jane's art. I don't like the Disney Tangled hairstyle or the super straight Triskelly arm. I do. bit like Tangled the movie. That's how I think of Eldar players, by the way. 14-year-old
Disney aficionados,
girl fans. What?
I mean,
girls who are 14 years old. What they watch Tangled, and then while they're watching Tangled, they paint up their aspect warriors. That's how I feel about Eldar players.
Are fans of Tangled just like bronies?
Yeah, that's what I'm calling you.
They could just be like
I'm calling you a
men.
Space Marine brony.
Okay, that's fine. A Space Marine brony. All right. Well, you're not entirely.
Well, not a Space Marine brony, but do you know what I mean? A Warhammer 40,000 brony.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong. So I mean, we'll leave that.
Valerie says rude, Rob. That's rude.
Oh, how dare you?
And OXJ says I like to think of myself as what's the name from Moana? How do you say it?
The Rock.
Don't know.
No. Anyway,
I've not seen that film, so I
I
can't.
just don't know how to say it. Anyway, all right, cool. So I think that's all of the current news when it comes to
goody.
releases, which is exciting. Yeah,
Let me just take my shirt off because we're about to enter a ring, aren't we?
I don't think so. Are we?
Are we?
Well, so the next two topics on the show today are there's a situation that came up at the weekend, the yellow card gate. Which I am so excited to get into this. And then after that, I'm going to do a rundown on Hector Rex.
Not the person, the unit.
The unit, Hector Rex, Inquisitor Lord.
We're going to have a spinny camera.
Yeah, Inquisitor Lord Hector Rex. I'm going to do a rundown on him. I probably should have done this a little while ago, but I actually am going to paint him up and use him in a Supreme Command attachment. If you guys are interested, you may or may not be. But I'm very excited about it. Oh no, where's my bloody list? I saved it. I hope I saved it. Oh, there it is. I'm going to use him along with... I probably should have told you this later, but... I'm finding the information out on 2012's to 2019's best Warhammer app, Battlescribe.
There it is.
The Owners War Gamer isn't sponsored by Battlescribe, but we would like to sponsor Battlescribe if that's possible.
I would like to kiss Battlescribe.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. If Battlescribe was a person, I'd take them on a long, luxurious cruise. Even though the carbon footprint would be terrible and I shouldn't do that. But Hector X, Greyfax and Eisenhorn for a 295 point Supreme Command attachment of named gangsters. Yeah, just wandering around being great. So I'll tell you more about that later. That spin is off Cam Nikos, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
And Amsterdam Battle Brothers said more insults towards Eldar players, please.
What's he saying about Eldar players? Oh, more insults. All right, well, I'm here, so just carry on.
Right, okay. Okay, let's talk about Yellow Card Gate. All right, so...
Do you think all Eldar players dress in spandex at the weekend, pretending to be aspect warriors?
Yeah, I absolutely
have you
think...
seen
And
me?
they run around the woods.
Yeah.
Just going
screaming.
Like... Yeah.
This is my Banshee scream.
This is my splinter rifle!
So you're saying we're LARPers as well now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Waifu LARPers. Okay, so last weekend at the LGT, a man called Tom Box, is that right?
Stephen Box.
Stephen Box, sorry, Stephen. Stephen Box, lovely man by the sounds of it, had to play someone. Now, Stephen then posted a video about his behaviour on the internet, which has been pretty viral.
It's got 50,000 views right now.
50,000 views. Which
I did my research.
Which is 49,995 more views than Mini Wargaming should ever get on a video. And anyway, so and the crux of the video, if you want to go watch it, was effectively that he played a gentleman at the LGT. And he behaved so out of order and had a series of behaviours like that and had been famous to do so. So famous, in fact, random shade for Rob, no problem. So famous, in fact, we'd actually already done a show cussing him
on that gentleman.
I mean, it wasn't as well prepared as Stephen's video was. So
when did we do that show this year or last year?
I think we did it last year because I just kind of went on the big round.
It was
final.
It was the GT final. Which was this year.
It was this year. Okay.
I was going to say, because this could be our updated 2019 edition, but imagine this is 2019.
Second half of 19.
Yeah, it's the second half of
2019 part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
And so, effectively what occurred was, this guy cheated, and has famously cheated a lot of the time. So Stephen made a very long-winded but articulate video just describing his frustration and the constructive things that he would like to do in the future, which are effectively maybe the ITC, ETC should get together and form like a yellow card ban system. So before I give my opinions or think about it, you're aware of this situation, Nick? Did you see the video this weekend?
I watched half of the video. I watched the drama half of the video, and then I didn't watch the second half where we talked about his proposals. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got you covered on that. Tom, did you watch the whole video?
I did. I've watched it 3 times.
Free. You've watched it 3 times.
It's free. It's on YouTube. It's always free.
Yeah.
3 times. So what I've been doing is I've been reorganising the library at work, so I just had it on in the background because he doesn't swear in it once, so I can have it on if a kid bursts in when it's not a problem.
That's why the War Game was developing our clean attitude to.
We're developing
coverage.
a beeper.
Yeah, a beeper. So anyway, So you watched the whole thing. What were your thoughts about his constructive, and do you remember the constructive ideas he thought to deal with a situation such as this? Effectively cheating in 40k. Consistent cheating was his points.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
watch it, and what did you think?
I wasn't surprised, which is kind of sad because obviously I know about this guy, and I used to be his practice partner back in 2017, and whenever we practiced, he was like fine, to the point where when we played in the final of an event, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and it was like it was probably a mistake because he has this habit of shunting terrain and models, and it's always being to his advantage. Like there was one incident at Caledonian Revolution where he was playing against a very prominent player, and what ended up happening was he spilled the same pint 3 times, and every time he spilled it, his models were somehow in a different place.
Was it like did he turn his pint cups upside down and was like swapping around the table, and then the model was
Well, before we
appearing
get into
under each one?
what happened, did you did you see the suggested? I'm trying to frame the conversation. Okay, Tom, did you see the suggested courses of action?
I watched the first, like I said, I watched the first half, and just a
Just for the spice.
just a side note. It looked like he had to edit the video quite a few times, and what I imagined was that he started off all calm and rational, was like this is, and then he just every now and went fucking twat, and they edited it out.
Good. Tom,
was like-
what did you think of his constructive ideas?
So the ideas were fine. It's just a case of working out how exactly you're going to police behaviors at events, right? So it's not even. I mean, he's already banned from a bunch of events, and in the aftermath of this, he's been banned from Bad Moon Cafe as well. So, but there's a bunch that have banned him. I think there are going to be more to come as well, but it's just a case of TOs are now trying to work out exactly how they're going to do this, and I think rather than just coming out and saying, "Oh well, this guy's a knob, we're just going to ban him," it's going to be more of a case of, "Okay, well, this is our policy, and this is how you're expected to behave, and in light of this is what we're doing." I would imagine that people are now taking their time more with these things because it's been such an issue for a while. Not an issue as in that it's like widespread or rampant or anything like this, but as 40k becomes like more professional, for lack of a better word, it's something that needs to happen. And I think that's what's going to end up happening now.
Okay, and then they talked about BCP getting some sort of player profile so that you could put a yellow card on people or not. TOs all coming together and creating a database of people so that they could yellow card someone or not. Which all seem like constructive and well thought out, and making sure you're getting supported evidence. And this is where I fall down, right? Because, and I mean this, I'll come at this. You guys have to get some context from me as a person before we can get into it. So my first job when I was, well, not my first job, but when I was 18, I became a doorman. So if you guys are from a different country, like a fellow who wears a black outfit and stands outside of pubs, yeah, that's,
They might not have pubs.
yeah. Anyway, and that job was pretty simple because basically, if you thought someone was a twat, you just didn't let them inside. Now that sounds like an arbitrary justice system, which it is. But we as a society operate on that all the time. If you want an environment, there were some pubs, by the way, where absolutely everyone could come inside, but that was a whole different type of job. And I wore a tie that was a clip-on. Because to give you some indication of what I was expecting my evening to be, which was adventurous.
So much strangle you.
All right. Anyway, my point is this chap is called Patrick. Patrick Sampantipto or something.
San Filippo.
And he also has a Facebook
page.
Yeah, he has he does it. He has a brand. What's the brand?
Roll them
bones.
Roll them
Do you want to hear some spicy goss on this?
I do, but I want to make my point before I hear the goss. Is that okay?
No, I've already told you the goss, so you might even say it.
Roll the bones. Oh no, my goss is just this. It's just fucking ban him, call him out, and call him a twat. Have some backbones, and it's not the players who need to have the backbones. It's the TOs. Don't run an event.
All right.
Yeah.
He's now officially banned from all future League of Nights events.
There you go,
damn,
Nick.
that's another TO.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And do you know why? Because there's a whole bunch of other people who just want to get on. Like, there's a whole bunch of other people. Like, do you know the concept of a doorman is insane? They have a doorman for every 100 people inside of a venue. Have you ever watched one man try to fight 100 people? It doesn't work. It's not how it works. What happens is like a couple of doormen go in and they try and throw out a group of rowdy lads. And sometimes the lads kick off and it's a big deal. But normally it's the social pressure of the other 97 people who are like, just leave the bar, you're being a twat. And often those people will help those people be removed. But I don't imagine a Warhammer event is ever going to come to any physical confrontation. But it will just be like, mate, I hope not, Tom. I would like the hobby to just be a hobby of nice things. Yeah. But just have some moral backbone. Just be like, you're banned. The guy, when I saw Boris from Bad Moons be like, he's banned. I was like, there you go. There's a man who knows how to behave himself. He just bans people. This guy has cheated time and time again. We've already done a show on it before. I'm sick of hearing his name. I'm sick of other adults not just growing up and just saying no. You get drawn against him, you just say no. If he's at an event, you walk up to the TO, you say that guy needs to not be here right now, and you constantly do it.
I think the bad thing about the latest incident at the LGT is that Stephen Box, who made this video, he said in his video that he did kind of do that. He went up to the TO and said, I don't want to play this guy, but the TO convinced him to play him, even though he'd had a bad experience about him before. And despite all the issues that he had during his game and then reported in other games, the TO seemingly did absolutely nothing about it. Obviously, I think they put a ref at the table, but clearly that wasn't enough. And I think the guy went on to finish pretty high. Wasn't he third or something like that at the LGT? Yeah. Which I think is outrageous.
He also came third at the... He just came third at the Warhammer World Heats this week.
He third with perfect secondaries and tabling everybody.
It's absolutely outrageous that the LGT, despite all the problems that we've heard from an independent source, happened, that the TO would just let him carry on and finish third at their event, despite all the reports he's had from cheating and all this kind of shit.
I think the organisation of the 40k part at the LGT is a bag of shit. I'll say that every time, and if Zach ever wants to talk to me, I'll tell him to his face. Like, do you know why? Because that's why we do a show. The Honest Wargamer, we everything we do is free, and it's all crowdfunded, and it's for the community of gamers. Like MMX James in the chat has just said, I told the TO straight up, but very loudly, I don't play cheats, and he refused to play him at an event. Like, have some backbones.
He plays me, though. What the hell?
Yeah. Like, have some backbones at events. Just be like, no, I'm not playing this person. And just tell everyone around you. Like, and there'll be other people there that will just need a bit of confidence to, like, have it. Which is why I think Steven's video is great. Like, he put a video out and was like, this is a big deal. We
Gives
need to
him a
talk
justification.
about it. He did. And he was way more polite than I'd be about it. Like, way more polite. But we don't have to be polite because this is someone who's not polite. And also, everyone in that environment needs to not be polite all the time. Take-backs are like this really sweet thing that we all do, right? Like, it's like someone's like, I forgot to, it's the end of... So we cussed out the guy at the LVO because he was just like, it's the end of the movement phase. He didn't let you drop the things down. But then we all just be like, I forgot, I didn't cast with that. It's like, yeah, go for it. That's fine. That's not an issue. But in that environment of it being a friendly hobby, people are allowed to take the piss. But just don't let people take the piss.
I mean, someone's already raised the point of the path to redemption in the chat as well, and obviously it's something I'm quite big on, right? I mean, I've defended a lot of players on this point quite a bit. We've raised this to... I mean, when we did the show in March, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've already spoken about it once. He already knows that it's got a bad rep. Has he made any attempt to fix it? No. He doesn't care. He's got no interest in reforming. So if we leave a path of redemption up, we can't leave it up like permanently. You have to show that you want to change. Maybe he needs to go away for a couple of years and come back, and then he can try again. That's no problem.
We just need to force him out into a different hobby.
Yeah,
like go play. I don't know,
Age of Sigmar.
Go play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, so which is why I think Tom, you came up with the perfect response of how we deal with him, because the furries were able to chase Tony the Tiger off the internet.
Okay, we've got an action plan now.
So there's two ways to approach a situation, right? Plan. Like, we could go super aggro, flood his Facebook page, roll the bones, by the way, it's called Roll the Bones, with hate. Or we could take his picture, which he puts up everywhere, and we can Photoshop it to every graphic scene we ever want. We could just, like, rip him to pieces. And is that terrible? Maybe. Do I care? No. Like, he just calls it. He calls some fellow called Stephen, who seems like a really nice fucking guy.
He's a really nice guy.
To be really upset. There's a whole bunch of other people who are really upset. Like, I don't know most wargamers. I know quite a few, and almost all of them I love deeply. As soon as I start talking to them, they're like, "Yeah, I really like really like Iron Hands since about 3 weeks ago. Like, all right, cool. Yeah, me too, buddy. Yeah, let's be friends, right? But this guy is just a shit stain, and we just should get rid of him. So I hate him. Anyway, but I don't care. Also, I'd just tell him to fuck himself if I ever saw him, and like as all of you should as well, and have the emotional support around you to know that that's the case. He plays a wild world all the time.
Well, because that's the only place he's allowed to play. Like...
Well, I've actually played him a couple of months ago at a one-dayer event at Sanctuary. This was before all the shit he did at Warhammer World, but it was after the GT final, but before this latest spout of actions. And I obviously knew who he was going into the game, and I went into a sort of a mode of, right, I'm going to be pretty tough on my rules and watching him, and not give him an inch because he'll take a mile, kind of thing. And we actually had an okay game. I don't think I spotted him cheating, but we did have some rules disagreements. But I think in that game I didn't feel like he was as bad. But maybe that's because
did he make up some stratagems?
No, I don't think so. Because I knew the army that he was using and what he could do. But I don't know whether it's because, like, basically, I kind of almost had the same approach to when I used to play football. Like, I was a defender when I played football. If you're playing against a pretty good winger, sometimes you want to go in and give him a bit of a early on. Give him a bit of a dig early on to let him know you're there. And that's kind of what I did. That's kind of what I did with Patrick. Like, the first time it was like some rule was coming up, I was like, right, fucking show me that rule.
Yeah.
So he knew straight away I was on him. I'm not gonna let him get away with anything. Like, straight away as soon as he did anything. And I think so. Yeah, I sort of got him on his toes.
You shouldn't have to do that.
Shouldn't have to do that.
It's a gameplay between gentlemen.
But I knew who
and
he
that's
was.
The other thing as well. That's the other thing about yellow cards. So we had a thing happen in the Sigmar community just last week where Darren Watson, big fan of that guy. I am Mr. Darren Watson. He played a game, smashed it, did really well. Got like 4 majors and a minor at a 5-game tournament. When looking back at his own VOD, realised that he'd moved a model that he thought could fly but couldn't fly. And he'd moved over a unit. So contacted the TO, said, I'd like to withdraw. I cheated. I did something wrong. End of conversation. Fantastic behaviour. Exactly what you want. It's the minimum of what I expect us all to do at tournaments. That's like just the minimum. Like, it's not like I got something wrong, I'll let myself still win. As soon as you realise you've done something wrong, be like, hey man, actually I've done this massively wrong. What do you want to do? It'd be like, I'll actually withdraw unless you don't want me to. Like, just put the onus on the other person, because we should just play better. Like, our standard shouldn't be, am I watching someone like a hawk? It should be like, oh mate, do you know what? I fucked a rule up earlier. I quit. Sorry. Yeah, you get all the points. They'd be like, whoa, you don't have to do that. It's like, that should be our minimum standard of behaviour. And this is why I started it out with telling you guys that I used to be a doorman. When people would wear a Stone Island jacket, I'd be aware that they were wanting to have a few beers after the football and have a fight. Like, they let me know. Like, they're like, this is
my calling card.
It's like a calling card. They're like, this is what I wear. And I'm like, sweet. Like, I got your number. And it's the same in this situation as well. Like, if you turn up to a table and they're challenging things on the tabletop, just don't have that game. Like, that game sucks. And then vocalize who that person is. And then everyone's like, don't name people on the internet. It's like, why? People name people out there. You can get named. You can get named on the internet and become the president of the United States. Like, the adverse effect is only, like, it's not going to adversely affect people who don't care. It's only going to positively impact people who do care and want something. I don't know. I just don't give a shit. I just want him to fuck off.
Just saying that Patrick's going to be potentially the next president of the United States of America.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't be. He's Italian. So.
Well, who knows? Okay.
So. I promised you guys some drama when were talking about Roll the Bones.
Yeah, tell me.
So do you remember, like, very early on in the Honest Wargamer?
Yeah.
I spoke to Rob to say that someone had offered me a place on a team, and I didn't think I should take it because I had sponsors and that might clash with the Honest Wargamer. Mm-hmm. That was the team.
Oh God, how do you feel about getting away with that?
Best decision of my life, dude.
Dodged the bullet there.
Dodged a big ass bullet, dude.
You've heard some more spicy goss, Tom, because again, no one else would trade in petty, underhand, backroom talk, but we're gonna, because do you know why? No one else is airing his dirty laundry, and we're just gonna air it. Like, just get it out there and then it's done. And then afterwards, I'm going to talk about Hector Rex, who's an Inquisitor model, because no one expects the Inquisition.
We're Inquisiting.
You see what the link that I made. Thanks. Go on then, Tom. What did you hear?
That was the thing. I'm confused. What we're talking about?
No, I don't know.
You're
That
going
was
to have
the
to be more
gossip.
specific on that.
Well, don't worry about it. I thought you said you had some more gossip. But if
think
not,
that was
then
the
that's-
some of the
gossip.
spicy
Sorry,
gossip
did I disappoint you?
is-
No. A Tio sneaky wolf. A Tio should not be watching his games. He should be thrown out of every event and banned right now.
If a
No
TO
one
is
should be-
having to be stood at one game over like dozens or hundreds, that's already a kind of bad sign. You shouldn't need to do that.
You know, if I walked up to a game and I faced off with someone, and then a TO stood next to me and went, "Sorry, I just have to watch every one of this guy's games," I'd be like, "Do you know what, mate? That's cool. I can't be arsed with this. Like, it's my weekend. I can go read a book available from Black Library at any point that I want to. Like, why is it worth your time? Like, what game are we playing? It doesn't happen in chess. It doesn't happen in other games. Like, there aren't other game systems where people can willfully be a dickhead.
I
Like,
know.
they don't get yellow
I mean,
carded.
you can still be passive aggressive while playing
when
chess.
I
I'd
when I
imagine,
when
but-
I played him, I quite relished it in a way because I knew who he was.
you just like to be belligerent for a bit.
All right.
Yeah. So I think it depends on like if you were. It was admittedly obviously just a 1 day small event at Sanctuary, so maybe I'd have felt differently if it was at a bigger event when maybe if I was doing all right, wanting to have a good game and do quite well in the tournament, then I'd probably feel differently about playing him. But because it was just a 1 day, I quite relished it, to be honest.
You ever seen rugby players
Because I knew
play?
what I was getting into.
Oh yeah, it's great sportsmanship. Apart from when you shoulder barge someone in the World Cup and get sent off.
Well, yeah, but rugby, they don't fuck. Like, these are grown men willing to hit each other with their own physical bodies, sure, right? But then they turn around and like they say a single cheeky thing to the refs, right? What the fuck did you say? And they're like, nothing, ref. Apologies about that, and they walk off because he has to maintain utter and complete order because it's a big group of really physical, strong men. That's the only way to maintain. And they've got a great culture and hobby around themselves. And I think that's fantastic. I think rugby should be the paragon of what we're aiming to achieve, realistically. Like, there's, like, back talking to a judge. Straight out.
Nope.
Like, TOs need
See you,
to be
mate.
fiercer. Yeah? Like, it just needs to be more and more fierce.
Yeah.
Like, every single TO needs to... And the issue is TOs don't want to, because what TOs want to do is make money at their event. Yeah? Like, fundamentally... Right, that's not all TOs, obviously, and a lot of people, and that doesn't mean it's the only thing they want to do. They also want to run a great event. They also want to provide a space that people can have a great time in. TOs they wear a multitude of hats, so it's not the only thing. But what they don't want to do is be antagonistic with people who will give them cash all the time, which is what we see at things like the LVO and the LGT.
But like if you're a TO and you're consistently lesting people like Patrick come to your events, then that might
Scares people away.
Yeah, exactly. That might scare people away.
So
from
a good example of this is the Sanctuary events. So Patrick won inverted commas the Hall of Fame event at Sanctuary, which effectively gives you 3 events for a year. He beat me in the final with a shunt of a bit of terrain. And the result was that I just didn't go to Sanctuary events very much because I just couldn't be asked. Right? Like, I just didn't. I could go to Sanctuary events and it'd be fine, but I knew most likely I'd probably have to play him. And I'm like, well, I'm spending money and it's an hour total drive and I'm just not going to enjoy at least one of my free games. So, I don't really want to. And that's shown. I mean, the number of people going to Sanctuary events has dropped quite heavily because of that. And I think the best thing they can do is ban him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just think it requires stricter refereeing and harsher TOs. And that's what I'd be like. It never worries me.
It's for the greater good.
Yeah.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of one dickhead.
Here comes the towel player.
Well, do you know how many since I was 18 years old? Do you know how many times I've ever had an issue with a doorman on a night out? And as a nightclub promoter for 12 years, and having been in nightclubs most of my adult life, I've had 0 issues. I must have been out maybe 3 to 4 times a week for over a decade. I've had 0 issues ever in any club my whole life. It's because I know how to behave like an adult. Like, it's not hard to do. Like, and therefore no one takes umbrage with me. It's real easy. Like, and it's a real easy situation to avoid. Similarly in this, I've had no issues with TOs, and nor do I have players. And I don't assume I'm ever going to, because I'm going to just play fairly and do as I say. That doesn't seem to be an issue, realistically. So I don't know how TOs aren't taking this more seriously, because it's not on the players. That's what people keep talking about, is on the players. TOs, no. Just ban them.
But players need to feel empowered by the TO to raise something like that,
which they weren't supported at with the LGT. That's a good point.
Yeah, and like if I was at a Games Workshop event, I don't think I would feel particularly confident if I went to the Games Workshop organisers to say, "Oh, this player did this." I don't think they would. I think they're more so that view of a TO who wants to make money from people because they're a big, obviously, corporation just milking us for money at Games Workshop. Because of past experience of being at a Games Workshop event, when there's been issues, they've been very light-handed with people. So I think TOs, I think it's a great idea that Stephen Box came up with in his video about getting not because there is the ITC code of conduct thing, but it needs to be. Really,
Well, it needs to be enforced, right?
It needs to be enforced. It needs to be like across all Warhammer gaming, really.
And you also need to have someone who has the confidence, because not everyone, and that's absolutely fair as well. Not everyone again, like bringing my own personal experiences as an event organizer to bear. Like as a nightclub promoter, it was on me to like decide who would come in. As an example, like you don't let a giant gang of lads in who are out on the piss. Why? Because they normally just don't know how to behave properly. Yeah, you wouldn't normally often let them in, right? However, when you worked at a bigger club, you would want them in because you're trying to fill 2,000 people in the capacity. So you have a big, strong Gondor team, yeah, and there'd be fights, and you drag some people out, and that would be the situation because you were aiming for money. That was what it was. But then what you did was you put money over the safety and the confidence and the security of the people at the venue. It's very much.
Surely that has an impact on the number of people who want to come to the club, right?
No, not really. Drunk people are stupid, but like, but what it does do is it does mean that people get hurt, which is a bad thing. And whether or not like you think a bad game is pretty shitty, some people have really tough weeks, and their way of chilling out of the weekend is playing Warhammer. Like the TOs have a moral responsibility to protect the players from people who are bad actors in their community. It's what they're meant to do. It's what I think we sometimes have to do on the show, which is why we call shit out, which is why we're here talking about this. I don't want to be talking about this. I'd rather be talking about Hector Rex or the model, not like this crap. But I feel like someone out there has to do it intelligently and smartly, and also just ask and also not just be like, oh, maybe we should yellow card him a bit. Like, maybe we should get together and, like, shake hands. And, like, no, just ban him, grow up. Just, like...
Maybe we should just hug it out.
No, we shouldn't hug it out. Just go, no, like, if you see anything out of order once, you just go, you're banned. And then everyone's like, wow, that was incredibly over the top. Be like, cool. Is anyone else...
It's unreasonable, but just don't do it.
Yeah, it's unreasonable. Do you think anyone will approach unreasonable if the response will be unreasonable?
Yeah. To use another sports analogy, I know it's a yellow card, but like often in football games when the referee might stamp his authority on the game by dishing out yellow cards really early on for something that isn't necessarily a yellow card. Because he's like telling the players, like, look, you mess around, I'm going to card you.
Exactly what you were saying earlier. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just put your mark down. You just be like, and then you put up on a giant jumbotron, player 34 has been yellow carded for misbehaviour, and then all 100 people in the venue are like...
And at lunchtime, player 34 will be executed in the car park.
Ticket to $5.
Anyway, so I think it's down to the TOs, not the players. I think the TOs need to create an environment that's safer.
This is why Mikey banned drinks on his mats, not because he wanted to be careful of the mats, but because he knew that spilling drinks was a top cheating tip. That's how it works.
Yeah, like Scriver said in the chat, you should be on turn 3, hurry up. That should be the next thing, right, as well. Like, they did that at... Nova,
I think.
I think Nova.
Yeah, they do that at Nova. Yeah,
at Nova they announce where you are.
Yeah, they might do it at LVO as well. I'm not sure.
They definitely do it at Nova. I've never been to the LVO, so I can't comment.
A really great thing that happened, as an example, is and I want to shout out to Val Falcon and also Darren from Counthammer when I was over at CCBB. So there was a prodigious cheater called Josh Death. I'm sure he's not going to mind Joshua Death. He's not going to mind me saying
he's retired now, right?
He has retired, but like he did cause himself some mischief, absolutely. However, what he did do was improve and stop doing that thing. And then at CCBB, both Val and the Falcon spoke to me, and it's like, Rob, this is the situation with this guy beforehand. He doesn't do that anymore, and he's behaving himself. I'm like, that's fantastic. That's great news. Right, and then he's back. He's playing Warhammer. He went to the LGT, behaved himself. There was no issues. And then he stopped playing Warhammer now. All gravy, right? You can't really ask for more than that. So we all believe in redemption. But at the moment before that, it's just like, you're banned. Right? End of conversation. Like, you should have to, like, work so hard to come back from cheating everyone constantly. It should be like a real tough challenge. Like in the Olympics, they ban people for like 2-3 years if you get caught doing something like, or like they ban you for like a whole Olympic like year, like so you can't go to the next one, which is most people's career, right? Like an 8-year block. You know, like they should be a little bit more firm with people, because banning someone from a tournament doesn't ban them from just playing down their local game with their mates. Like it's just like you need to behave better at a professional public environment. Anyway, we talked about that enough. Has anyone else got any points?
No, I do not. Tom?
No, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Has the chat got any more points?
Fair and balanced?
Probably not, but...
I think that was fair and balanced. Do you not think? Well, whatever.
I don't know.
Guess it's like I'm sure we. If you want to go back and listen to the last time we had this conversation, we were worse.
Well, the fact that there even was a last time we had this conversation is a bit ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. How do we get Warhammer World to ban him? That's a great question, because he does play there a lot. Do you know what? I'm going to message the TO. Because I know him personally, and I'll message him, and then if he decides not to ban him, I'll let you all know. That's what I'll do, and I've also publicly told you all what his response will be. Good luck to you when I message you. Just loudly claim you refuse to play this character cheater. I wouldn't even loudly refuse. I'd go up to the TAO and ask why they had him at their event.
What I might do, if I'm at the Games Workshop event and I turn up and he's opposite my table, I might just stand there screaming.
Mate, have you seen that video of that kid that was screaming all the way from Munich to Berlin to New York on a plane?
I have not, but I will do that for the entire 2.5 hours rounds until he leaves.
You're just going to upset everyone else, though. You're going to upset everyone else.
I'm joking.
Anyway, I don't think playing in his mud is fair. I think you just go to talk to a TO. Be like, you're the adult in the room in this situation. You're policing,
Here you go.
You're policing the 100 people. Like, go and deal with it. Like, oh no, I don't want to deal with it. I want to make sure it's fair. Grow the fuck up, you coward. Like, and also, why has he got third at the LGT? Yeah. Right.
Watch that link in chat afterwards. It's the screaming child all the way from some German airport to
Anyway, cool. All right, it's down to TOs. I reckon there's some big ass brave TOs in the world that will just like not give a crap. Like Boris from Bad Moon, congratulations. Hellstorm Mikey in the chat and MMX James, we both have banned him specifically from their events. Like. And maybe it would be nice to track people realistically, but I think just have you ever heard that?
Shall we make the register?
Have you ever seen that thing where someone just fires someone? Like they hire a group of new starters and then they just fire one of them first to establish dominance. Just do that. Just like have a 100-person tournament and just be like,
you are arbitrarily banned.
Round one, just walk around and like,
shoot a guy.
Just shout yellow card, and they'll be like, "What for?" Be like, "You moved that model too far." Like, no, I didn't. I promise I didn't.
You could have a plant.
You could have
someone prepared.
Come on down
to do something. To you just have a plant. Like it acts out of order straight away, and you just like.
Yeah. So Mike has just suggested something in the chat that I've already suggested, which is invite him along and then DQ him pre-round one. I asked the guys in Newcastle to do this. They said that was unreasonable.
Stupid.
No, it's not, because he just turns up and now he's just wasted like multiple hours driving to an event on the far north of England.
If someone would happily create the honestbandplayer.com and then just put a picture of that person's face on it, that'd be great.
That would be good if it was like
if
if all the UK TOs got together and just kind of worked out like a list of players that have been causing issues at their events. I think that'd be a really good thing.
But then what? But then what are they going to do? Like have someone at their table? No,
you don't need to. You know if someone's been causing issues at your event because people scream about it online. As a general rule, right? Like we're doing now.
What if we hired a nun who had a bell like Game of Thrones, and he was allowed to play only if she rung a bell right next to his ear, shouting shame.
Or just played that screaming kid in his ear for like 3 hours. This Nikos followed him around the event, just squealing like a banshee.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, I think Stephen put up a cool video and highlighted something that needs highlighting realistically. But I also think, like someone else has said in the chat, which I think is a really solid point, even just banning this one particularly asinine individual is not going to deal with what I believe is a cultural problem, which is where like things like I didn't check to see whether or not he was rolling it all right, or like I didn't ask him what his rule was. No, like, expect so much better of the people around you. And if they don't, just lambast them to their face and to the TOs specifically. And also demand from your TOs. Like, that Boris guy won my heart. As soon as he was like, this guy's banned, I'm like, there you go. There's a man who just doesn't care. Yeah, he's just like, you're banned, you're shit. Why would you want someone like that at your
You're
event?
shit,
Yeah,
you're banned.
you're shit, you're banned.
Oh
Like,
shit! Oh,
I do think it's hard for players sometimes because not everybody is like okay with conflict, even though it's major or minor. Like some people are quite timid and shy and quiet and don't feel necessarily confident to do that if someone is cheating. So
right.
that's why I said earlier that the TOs need to empower players to maybe just like it's in the pack. Like if you suspect someone's cheating, have a quiet word with me.
that's actually
Elsewhere.
That's actually a great
And
point.
then they sort it out rather than you necessarily having to deal with it interpersonally at the table with someone.
I actually think you've made a really solid point, and that's the thing that we should do. Tom, what we should do, is we should not do anything to do with players. The Honest Wargamer should take the list of all the TOs in the UK, and then just send them a questionnaire and say if just a questionnaire, a simple statement of behaviour that a TO should stick with, Like if someone comes up and makes a formal complaint, here's a process. Create a form also, even for those people
Send
if
in
they
a
want
complaint.
to. Yes, like whatever it might be, but like have the TOs, and then the TOs should be rated on how they deal with conflict.
It's like
in
an
my
Uber
opinion,
driver.
In my opinion, how Zach at the LGT dealt with it was horrific and terrible. As
Zero.
most of the things he deals with and does is those things also. Sorry, last week, Zach. Hope you're really well. Like it's down to the TOs, not the players, because the TOs should be policing the environment if they're putting them on. Also, Emma Exchange, thanks for subscribing. So I actually think that might be the more correct response to take. You should put the onus back where it should be, not on the players. Because you're right. Like a lot of the people who play this hobby are quite gentle, and I love that about the hobby. Some of the kindest people I've ever met have been in this hobby, and everyone should look after them. Yeah. Anyway, you take on responsibility when you run an event, having been a man who's run a bunch of events. MX James, I'm a big fan of that idea, Rob. Cool. Well, we'll get Tom on it because Tom loves fucking drama and gossip. Yeah.
I do, but I despise admin, which is
the sort.
Damn! All of us despise admin. If anyone would like to be the admin,
I despise admin a lot. less than YouTube, though.
TOWatch.com.
Like I literally turned up in Nottingham with a notepad rather than doing a show. Once.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
That's right. We're gonna fill in this notepad. Right, good admin, love it. Yeah.
Do like they says, I feel that players should wear step counters during games because people walking around the table or game distract me.
I'll bear that in mind for next time I play you.
Maybe players should all wear what bouncers are wearing nowadays. These body cams,
like
like a dash cam. So you can evidence the fact that he was cheating.
Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on.
presented in court.
Yeah, we've done good there, I think. I think that was solid.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't
fine.
know. They're always challenging conversations, aren't they? But fuck them.
Yeah. I just want
right.
to hear about Hector X, to be honest.
Thank you so much. Right, on to a rundown. Spice is over, everyone. On to a rundown.
This
for
is
a palate
spicy too.
cleanser.
Settle down.
Huh?
Time for a
This is
palate
spicy
cleanser.
too. Settle down.
This is so gangster. Rob's done a rundown, and Rob's very excited. I was going to do it on the Mechanicus drill, so the 4-drawer drill,
Okay.
the transport.
Yeah.
But as I spent about an hour researching it, it ended up being like it's a transport that you don't want to put anything in because everything the Mechanicus sucks, which really was terrible news for me.
That sounds like a short rundown.
But my Clemmy B, hey, how you doing? Beck says hi too. I'll say hi, Clemmy B. What I would like to say about that is I think I'm going to try and run 3 in my Mechanicus list that I'm going to run with my Cataphrone destroyers.
3 drills.
Stop
drills.
spamming, Rob.
Really?
Yeah, I mean
They're good, so I'll take 3.
Yeah, they're good sources, but they're also the thing that I want to throw at my opponent in their deployment turn 2. But because my unit of 12 Cataphrons, which is just like my...
Can you put them in that?
No, can't put them in that. No. But what I want is something else to be shot at turn 2. Does that make sense? So I was thinking of playing a very conservative turn 1, realistically, with my Cataphrons, if I'm able to. And then, or a big, because basically if I can't go first, hide. Yeah, if I can go first, just blow the earth away. were my thoughts, and then just drop 3 drills forward on turn 2, and then just have that.
What do the drills even do?
They're pretty good. They've got like a D3 melter gun, and they're pretty decent in combat, but they're not decent against vehicles. They're more going to take out like Marines or something in that kind of mid tier, which the Cataphrons are designed to take out the Knights, so that's fine. They're just there. They're just going to be annoying in the way, taking up board space in my opponent's deployment zone, which should get me a bunch of different like secondaries if I was playing ITC, and also it's just a nice piece of utility, and they're cool. They're deep striking things. I think it's rad anyway. And they also have a very, very cool rule. Maybe I will do a rundown on them at some point, but they're very cool rule. You can keep producing mortal wounds if they do wound something that isn't wounded, because it's literally drilling into them.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool too. So I think it could take out a bunch of stuff. But anyway, I'm not gonna. I just was like, oh, there's nothing to put in it. It's quite boring. But I've ended up talking about them a lot anyway. They're quite cool. Anyway, the drill problem in IC is they give up to Mark for Death of Big Game Hunter. They do. They really do. So 3 is almost giving away a whole secondary, which is also true. MOH James in the chat is right. But I still like them. And there's not lots I like in the Mechanicus book, which is sad. Right. Bon Monkey Cheese, how you doing? Right. However, this bad guy, if you guys can see him, here he is, Hector Rex. So one of the things I also wanted to look at was like Psychers and I've had this model for a while, and I really want to play him, and so I thought I'd do a rundown on him. So rundown.
Are we going to build a list around him and get Rob to qualify for the final?
We could do that. That's not hard.
Is that good?
I think he's particularly good. Like if you take out his utility, but I'll talk about it.
I shall reserve my judgment until the end of the rundown.
But the first bit we talk before we get into the gaming is the narrative. And if you're not sold on the narrative straight away,
what is a narrative, Rob?
Okay, right. So he starts out. So he's a human, right?
Yeah.
So even though he looks like a space marine, is the size of a space marine, old style, yeah, was a human, right? That's what he started out. Serving as a retinue, and also in the telepathica. So basically, it was just like doing space messages to and from, old school.
So he worked in a call centre.
He worked in a call centre. So this is like 20-year-old young person just like trying to make a name for themselves and what they eventually can be. Level 1. So he's working in the international call centre, and then eventually he gets like picked to get like bioengineered up.
Ooh.
Becomes not a space marine. Okay.
Hashtag not a space marine.
8 feet tall, not a space marine. Okay.
Okay.
Right? Not a space marine. Eventually joins like a retinue of like other like inquisitors, and then eventually becomes an inquisitor himself, and then an inquisitor lord.
Is it kind of the same as a Sith? Does he need to kill his master to become the Inquisitor?
No, he doesn't do that. Oh. Yeah, he doesn't. He just
he just works really hard.
You just have to be really, really against cheaters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. He's the Adeptus Nostartes. Well, thank you very much, Scribble. I appreciate that. And then, but then it's at this point that he becomes a gangster. So he's from the Ordo Malleus, right? And then at one point, the most famous thing that he's done, and this is really important, is the giant Forge World Khorne demon, Angarath.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see this sword.
I can see him over there, I think.
Yeah, you see him over there. You see this sword. He's banished him back to the warp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this guy has fought Angarath off and sent him back to the warp. That's how gangster.
On his own?
With some Grey Knights. Yeah, but they don't count.
How many Grey Knights?
Like, quite a few. But not loads. And mainly he did it.
So a bunch of Grey Knights with him banished this demon.
Mainly him, though. Mainly him. Anyway. So he's just brilliant. Yeah, and then and that's all I've got to say. He's just an Inquisitor who's also kind of a Space Marine, but no one's allowed to say it. Who is still a human. Human.
Definitely human.
Definitely human. So what do you think of the narrative?
Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he killed a massive Khorne demon.
Is he like human Drago?
Yeah, he's like human Drago. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I can relate to that.
He did honestly banish a demon with his sword. I promise. You can go research it. Yeah, banished him. All right. So, what do you guys think of the model, Nick? And if you guys want to search for Hector X on the Forge World website, what do you think?
I always like models with capes, and he's got a cool cape.
He's got a cape. He's also in Artificer armor.
The armor's
not
pretty
Terminator
badass.
armor.
It looks. I bet that's really nice to paint with like lots of washes and things like that, because there's loads of detail on there. I quite like his pose, but I'm not a fan of his face and hair.
He also comes with some acolyte fellas, by the way.
He does come with some acolyte fellas. They don't have rules though, so they're just there for funsies. Sadly.
Better guardsman. Yep.
Yeah, but still got some cool rules. What do you think?
Cool.
What are you going to give it out of, Tom? What are you going to give it out of 7?
I'm going to give it a
Sensitive
5.
chat.
I also really like his shield. It's like the inquisitorial symbol, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, that's the cool bit. Is the kind of, again, when we talked about the Primaris Marines last week, the thing that I've always liked about the kind of imperial side of 40k is the the canonical, or just basically the kind of the religious iconography that they bandy all around it, and he's covered in it.
Yeah, his sword is kind of almost the symbol as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a really sweet model.
It's a real sweet model. Yeah, his sword's actually got a name, and the name of his sword is I forgot. Damn it! But he's also met the Emperor, by the way.
He's met the Emperor.
He's met the Emperor.
What, at what? At what sort of function has he met the
Oh,
Emperor?
the poker.
Yeah.
Game of poker.
Yeah.
Game of Magic the Gathering.
And his bolt pistol used to fire, psychic rounds.
Used to. Why has he lost the ability?
Yeah.
Well, that's heresy.
In
so.
8th edition, they just turned him into like just regular bolt pistol. So rubbish. There you go. Order of Malleus, Inquisitor Lord Hector X, a giant of a man who took command of the entire 88th Siege Army in the Siege of Vrax. He's a gangster. So, what do you give it out of 7? What did you say?
What, the model?
Yeah.
Out of 7?
Yeah.
6.5. He would get a full 7 if he had a better head/helmet.
Oh, he's got a gorgeous head.
Nah.
I'm going to give him a 6.
All right. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty high numbers, though. Mm-hmm. That's pretty high numbers. Okay. He's a great model.
There's loads of detail on that model. It's a beautiful sculpt.
Okay. Right, so thanks very much. Big, I didn't do it, but cool. But I feel like my rundown, I feel like I've taken some ownership of it now. Okay. But all Inquisitors are amazing, and I like their narrative as well. Like, if you guys don't know about the Inquisitor narrative, effectively they have like the seal of the Emperor, so they effectively are the Imperium law unto themselves.
Yes, they can
They're like
tell
diplomats.
a planet to blow itself up.
No, they're nothing like diplomats, Tom. They're
Well,
like Judge Dredd.
they're like emissaries. Like they basically act on behalf of the emperor himself, right?
Yeah. What do you think?
That's a power that you could abuse, I imagine.
Yeah, there's really interesting. There are loads of Ordos. Yeah, so there's obviously like Ordo Xenos. Like there are loads of different. They're not called Ordos. Anyway, but one of the Inquisitor kind of like disciplines is what they do is they check up and make sure that everything that the Inquisitor's doing is absolutely fair and right.
Ordo auditors.
Yeah, and then there's another one whose job is to obfuscate everything Inquisitors have ever done. Yeah, from the public records.
Sweep up the mess afterwards.
Yeah, and they literally work against each other all the time. Like, and I love that. So there's different disciplines where because sometimes they're all like, some of them are just like, I'm going to go kill Xenos or demons. He obviously kills demons, but some of them are like doing other stuff, paperwork generally. So they're our non-admin guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. One more corrupt politician with power, says Valerie, and Wolf Carl says they're like Dorman with clip-on tie. Is this the whole Grey Knight save the people from demons, then kill them all so they don't know the Grey Knight's demons exist? Basically. Anyway. Alright, so his rules. Yeah?
The rules.
Mr. Hector Rex. Okay. So, movement 6, yeah, which is fine. But his weapon skill 3, so he's not like a chapter master or a space marine captain, and his ballistic skill 3 as well. He's strength 4, but he's only toughness 3 because he's a human. Toughness 3, so that's not great. But 5 wounds, so more than a company commander, still pretty tough. Mm-hmm. And he's leadership 9, which is great, and also because of a special rule, he gives leadership 9 in a bubble kind of around him. Yeah, and then he's also got a 2-up armor save because it's artificer armor, so pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he is, as seen, equipped with a storm shield.
Storm shield.
So he has a 3-up invulnerable save.
That's pretty cool.
resilient.
That's pretty cool, right? By the way, he's 110 points.
So he's on the same
Okay,
power
so
level
he's like
as...
Furious.
Yeah, Furious.
So he's same level as Furious, right? Good point. Yeah. So then there's some special rules that Inquisitors have. One of them is Quarry. So you can reroll hit rolls and wound rolls for Order Malleus units that target units with a Chaos or Demon keyword. So reroll hit and wound rolls, and which is fine for him because he's got his special sword Arius, which is strength as user, so strength 4, -3, so it's a 4 sword basically, and it does D3 damage. But if the target is a demon and it inflicts a single mortal wound on each successful hit in addition to its normal damage. So those plague bearers, it could start to go through it pretty well.
How many attacks do you have again?
He's got 3, sadly.
3.
Yeah. But you could do, like, you know, if you hit and wound, you also do an extra D3, you're actually doing another 3 mortal wounds as well, maybe.
Wait, is that on 6s or just all the time?
If it hits.
No, just if it hits.
Yeah.
Oh, just mortal wounds when it hits?
Against demons only.
But, okay, that's still fine though. Like, I mean, you're taking him to be kind of like a tank, I guess.
You are, absolutely. Until I tell you what else you can do. He's also got a bolt pistol. Fine. Right? So he's got Authority of the Inquisition, which allows units with this ability can embark onto any Imperium transport. So, if you wanted to put him in any new Space Marine fancy transports, for par example, even though the transport in question might not normally only permit models with other faction keywords to do so, all other restrictions apply normally, and Inquisitor Terminator models can only embark upon transports that specifically allow Terminator models to do so. But he's not a Terminator. Not a Terminator.
Not a Terminator, not a Space Marine.
Yeah.
Not a Terminator, not a Space Marine. 2-up save, 3-up invulnerable save. Right? So, and then he's also got the Psychic Hood because he's a Psyker.
Ooh.
Right? You can add one to deny the Witch test you take for this model against enemy Psykers. So, pretty good. And especially good when he can cast 2 Psychic powers and unbind 3 Psychic powers. Yeah, 3 unbinds. Yeah, that's pretty good with with +1. I think is pretty great. And then he's also got finally the thing he's got is teleport strike. So you can teleport.
Cool.
Deep strike him in.
Deep strike him in the back line and then just sit there for the entire game. And it's a free line breaker point because no one wants to come and kill him.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think those denies are pretty important. I think especially we might see quite a few more psychic powers generally being cast.
I think so because I think obviously Iron Hands are currently the new hotness. Conventional shooting is quite difficult to kill them with. Mortal wounds get around a lot of their resilience and invulnerable saves and things like that. So, because the list I was considering taking to the team event was like a smite spam style list. So yeah.
Okay.
Psychic powers could be pretty good again.
So 110 points. So but you can cast 2 psychic powers. But what's cool is the psychic powers he has access to.
Oh yeah, they got a small tree, right? He's got they've got
There's
3.
only got 3 because it's still an index option. But he's got Terrify, which is target a single enemy unit within 18 inches. This unit subtracts 1 from the leadership, but cannot fire Overwatch. There you go, Tom.
What's good at
But
Overwatch?
cannot fire
now?
Overwatch.
Huh?
So you'd pick an enemy unit within what range?
18 inches. Don't forget your deep strikes.
So you can't fire Overwatch, and you are -1 leadership.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, can't fire Overwatch is pretty big. It depends on what you're synergizing him with, though.
It does. You would synergize him with some melee options, particularly, right?
I know. So what are you thinking of your Bullgrins again?
I'm thinking of all sorts of different things, like because the Supreme Command detachment that I have him inside of, and he's probably worth just taking on his own in an auxiliary detachment, yeah. Because if you wanted to, because he's brilliant and he's 110 points, but the Supreme Command detachment I've got is just like I was kind of thinking of running it like Supreme Command detachment. 1,000 Suns, they've probably got more utility and a little bit smarter, but for like under 300 points for him, Greyfax and Eisenhorn, it's a pretty cool little like setup realistically, and he can deep strike, so he's going to be safe and off the board turn 1 when there's all those eliminators in the world. I was just thinking. Anyway, next one.
Psychic power, sorry, did you say? It's not like a Tigurius, you auto do it. It's psychic power, right?
Psychic power, yeah. But
What's it to cast?
6.
Okay, so quite low.
Yeah.
It's quite likely to do it, and it's again 18 inches, so you can deep strike. I agree with you. It's what you can do it with. Don't forget, he doesn't have to also deep strike. He can be inside of a transport. So,
Pop him out repulsor, have him move. He's got quite a large base as well, so you can pull some shenanigans with that. It's all right.
So then you got Mental Fortitude, which is cast on a 4, and that's just a unit automatically passes morale test. Whatever, not a big deal. However, dominate. This is, I think, for troll values all day long. Warp charge value is 7. Targets an enemy character within 18 inches. You immediately take control of the enemy unit and can make a single shooting or close combat attack with against their own army.
So what you count this is the same as mind control. So what you do is you stick all your units within 1 inch of one of your other units, because that way, as soon as the way it's worded, as soon as you pick that unit, that becomes your unit, and now it's in combat.
Right.
Is it the same wording for Dominate?
I don't have the exact wording of Dominate.
Oh, okay.
So I would have to go and check that, Tom.
It's not in Battle Scribe.
Oh, actually,
Should be in
I
Battle
didn't
Scribe.
know if I put it on them actually. So maybe I didn't give him the power. The power of hoodoo. But if you wouldn't mind checking for me. However, Tom, if they don't,
Yeah.
par exemplar, yeah.
Yep.
And don't forget that he's a support character. He's not I'm not. This isn't a turn one thing. This is I love stuff that really fucks with people's dropping where they're going to put their units on the board, right, and how they're going to control things. But I especially love it on and the reason I probably should have done this a while ago and talked about him is against Imperial Knights when they're characters. Because you can take over one of their weapons and make a shooting attack, and just take over their big ass gun. Just get them to blow into the enemy lines.
Yeah. Assuming that I'm not correct on the ruling thing with it with the sequencing, right? Because although that said, it depends on the list. Because if you're playing against something like Gene Stealer Cult and you need to screen off with the knights, you need to separate the knights by definition, so you're not going to be able to be within 1 inch of each other. So if you're dropping down a bunch of melee stuff again, you're trying to screen it off with the knights.
But Tom, if they've got a good knight list, they'll just have one knight.
I know, yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
it's cast on a 7, by the way, everyone. And I agree with you, absolutely. James in the chat is just saying it doesn't happen very often. That's fine, because you're talking about mind control for Gene Stealer Colts. And I get that too, but this is just an option for Imperium players, especially all the new Space Marines. And I really like the idea of doing it. And I'm definitely going to run him in my AdMech list, because AdMech obviously don't have any psychers, or they don't have any denies, unless you're taking a particular Forge World. And so I want to run him in a kind of Supreme Command detachment. I imagine eventually I'm just going to probably reduce it down to an auxiliary detachment with just him in. But similarly, I just love what he does for 110 points. Comparing him to Ferios, Ferios does a lot for Iron Hands, but you're very tied into what he does and what his army's going to do because of him being included in the army. Whereas I think this, in the denying capacity, pretty resilient, pretty tough. I just think it's wicked. Also really cool.
Yeah.
What's his movement value?
6.
Okay, so he's not like a slow ass boy just walking across the board.
No.
I think I like Terrify as he's like a tool for Terrify.
Yeah.
Toolkit for Terrify. Anyway, words. Just because, nowadays Iron Hands are pretty terrifying at overwatching and things like that. So if you're building a list around throwing a knight into combat or Bulgrins or some terrifying combat unit, you can use that as a way to safely get them in and do some movement combat shenanigans where you know you're not going to get overwatched.
I think the no Overwatch is a big one. But what's nice is having the toolkit, of the other thing if you wanted to as well. And you don't have to do both. But he's got 2 casts, but 3.
Yeah, 3 denies. 3 denies
with
is pretty good
+1
for one.
to deny.
Because
That's cool. The +1's big.
yeah, because I think I've talked before about my philosophy about having denies. I don't think there's any point having one psyker in your list who has 1 deny. I feel like that's pointless. Whereas if you're having 1 psyker in your list who's got 3 denies, then that's worthwhile. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've just checked the wording on Dominate on Battlescribe. Assuming that it's worded word for word, it is, if manifested, select one enemy character with an 18 of the psyker. You can force the model to immediately shoot a single weapon or make a single close combat attack at
You can
an
force
enemy,
the character.
at an enemy unit of your choice as if it were part of your army.
Oh, right.
So if it's a part of your army, then it's in combat.
Yeah. Models can attack themselves, but not.
But then there's also an advantage there, right? In making sure that those people put their
you got
characters.
a bunch
Yeah,
them
they have to
together.
stay. Yeah, exactly.
And then you can go orbital bombardment.
Boom! Yeah.
Yeah, because that's so useful, that stratagem. What a great strat that is.
Oh, it's the best, right?
But I love the idea. I love the idea of maybe it's like some wolfen and just kicking ass and doing
Oh,
that.
yeah,
I mean,
Wolfen, yeah.
Running across the board.
you've got to do it on characters though, right? Oh, yeah, right. Sorry,
Be terrified.
Wolfen in your army. Yeah.
doing terrify. But like
Yeah.
having the toolbox, knowing you could do a thing, is nice. I think. And maybe I don't think you even need to build. It's 110 points. I don't think you even need to build around him. It's just like an assassin. It's like an element. You're like, actually, how useful is that? 110 points for 3 denies is pretty big. Like, especially if your army is not particularly good at like shutting that down. And I don't think it's particularly like I was looking at Jim Vessel's list was one of those things that I was quite interested in. And that's demons with like quite a few casts realistically. And also this guy doesn't mind going in some plague bearers. He's not going to die to the plague bearers, but he's also going to stop them moving about potentially, apart from if they like fall back. So that's pretty cool. And then he's just in there. He's there doing mortal wounds, doing what he wants to do. I think it's pretty cool. And I think a great utility piece. And I'm going to paint him up ASAP. By next week, I'll have had him painted up, ready to rock. And then he's going to go inside my Mechanicus army. And I'm going to try and toolbox him. Also, I don't think he's played very much. So I think that's going to give me some pretty big advantages, realistically. And I also think would be good inside of a Space Marine army.
But he'll ruin the tactical doctrine goodness.
Oh, yes, that's true. Of course, you're right. Which is why it's good.
Put him in a knight's army, but don't take more than one, remember?
Yeah. Mr. Bridge says, Orbital Bombardment is a rite of passage. You play it once and then you rip the card up. And then also, yes.
Fool me once, shame on you.
One of my favourite people in the world, Mr. Toby Lydiard, also runs him in his Custodies, which many moons ago, almost 2 years ago, we actually did a rundown on this young chap already without the narrative. So I just thought I'd reinstill him in the way that we do it. I also think he's just a cool piece. And you can include him as either as an Inquisition Supreme Command detachment or as just in an auxiliary detachment.
It'd be cool if they. I imagine they'll do a White Dwarf Codex for Inquisitors at some point.
That would be really cool.
And maybe they'll have a similar stratagem like the Assassins have. Like you pay 2 CP, you can have an Inquisitor.
Yeah, like for this Supreme Command detachment I've got is 300 points. It's quite a lot, really. Yeah, but it's quite a few smites. And so if I wanted to, but Hector, Inquisitor Greyfax casts 1 and denies 2, and then Eisenhorn casts 2 and denies 2 for 300 points. So that's like I've got 7 denies and 5 casts for those 300 points, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, but the other 2 are not as survivable. The reason I think this guy is really, really good is his survivability. Anyway.
It's a shame he's toughness 3 though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it going to be that much of a difference?
I mean, mostly you're going to be removing him by smiting, right? I guess. How many wounds did you say he's got?
5.
Okay, that's decent then. Yeah, I was going to say if it's like 4 or lower, then like he might be susceptible to just getting hosed. But I mean, he's for 110 points. I don't think you can knock him. It's just whether or not he fits in an army. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you can either put him in your army as a piece to play with, or you could build around him especially with the no Overwatch, or a bunch of units for the no Overwatch, which I thought would be quite interesting, realistically. Cool. And so, how did I do on my first rundown in a while?
Have you shared the list
Top
you're going to put
bananas.
him in?
No, but I will share the list I'm going to put him in.
There we go.
Well, the list is like whatever plus him as a little tool, right? That's the idea.
Well, yeah, the list is just my Mechanicus list that I already am running, which is 12 Cataphren destroyers, 3 Castellan robots, some dudes with sniper rifles, some Vanguard with sniper rifles, and a dude. It's very 40k and on the nose, which I quite enjoy. And then this element is just like some psychics, because I don't actually overly love. I've suffered quite a bit at the hands of the psychic phase in my 40k career, so I would like to tell
Is that Death Hex still haunting?
No more psychic phase.
that Death X does. Yeah, but I think it'd be quite tasty, and also is a nice little turn 2 thing, just having about. But I don't have anything to combo with him. Don't have the charging inside the Mechanicus.
Yeah.
So, and I'm against
What
Borgren's
about
out
the Dragoons?
unless I took the Dragoons,
Dragoons
which is another build which I think would be rad. Have the Dragoons be -2 to hit
because
on turn 1.
they're generally not getting a turn 1 charge unless someone's really advanced in the deployment, right?
Yeah. They only move 10. So
generally, turn 2 is when you're getting in with them. So I think, him deep striking at the same time.
Yeah, move them forward, stay outside of 12, -2 to hit. That's not too bad. Run them forward, charge. This guy could go in, which would still be cool as well. And that's still CP light because they only require 1 CP to work really, really well. The issue is just getting rid of the screens. But there's a really fun army there, I think. I just got to work out how to use it well, which I think is fun. Anyway,
yeah,
Tom,
100%.
what do you reckon?
I like it. He's cool. Good pick. And he's obscure, so like I hadn't really heard of him before. I thought he was just a dude on the internet. But no, apparently not.
Yeah, is it making you think some things? No Overwatch. I heard you were interested in that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out what to synergize it with because a lot of the Imperial stuff you'll be charging anyway is pretty beefy, like the Ogrins and the Bulgarins and things like that. So I'm just having a think and seeing what I think.
Yeah, like you're right. Like, but then it's also what Overwatch is at this stage, right? Like the Iron Hands Overwatch, as you said, is pretty good. I don't know. Like Overwatch is 27 Wolf and go full.
Yeah, you can't say that on Twitch anymore. It's in COS, unfortunately. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Not even I'm allowed to say it, and it applies to me. So.
So you're right. Maybe. What about some like I know obviously it'd be making aggressors much worse. Yeah, but they're power fists. Punching, but you'd want all the doctrines. You wouldn't want to just put this.
It's
guy
about running forward to the aggressors, though.
Yeah, but Wolfen though.
I mean,
I think
Wolfen
Space
doesn't
Wolves
have
need.
doctrines at the minute.
What does Space Wolf?
I think Space Wolves need a similar tank to what the Primaris just got. They're an assault tank,
Yeah.
which is the go forward and shoot tank. I think Space Wolves need an actual assault tank. Their flyer, which
Not
is
that
like,
stupid flyer, which
yeah, that
should never have in the
stupid
first
flyer.
place.
Yeah,
Should never
I think
have it
that
in the
needs to
first
be
place.
that needs to be basically a croupier that shoves Wolfen across the table at your opponent and puts them in combat with them.
Like ASAP.
There you go, they're in combat. That's what they need, I think.
I would like. Yeah, that sounds fun. Maybe I'll go pick up some Wolfen. That's fun. 27. That's a lot of Wolfen to paint, though. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Plus, I would still want to make my Mechanica boys work. So, which is I know an uphill struggle for me, but I'm just trying it. Okay, cool. All right, enough lambasted. Thanks very much. Do I get anyone in the Twitch chat want to rate me? It's been a while. Hope that's okay. Thanks very much. Yay.
Clappers in the chat.
Yeah. Do you like the Wolfen models? I do love the Wolfen models. The Wolfen models are great.
It's not that one.
This guy. He's great.
Not that guy.
That guy's the best
No,
one.
no.
What, the Karate Kid?
Which
No,
guy?
he's the
I can
worst
always see
one.
Nikos reacting to it.
Oh, it's the Karate Kid. Oh, okay. Thanks very much to you guys. It's been a pleasure. Also, because, as James is saying in the chat, my favourite weapon is rocked by the Wolfen, Thunderhammers.
I believe the sergeant can only take the lightning claws though. I didn't think the sergeant could take the Thunderhammer Storm Shield.
I'll be checking, but
Yeah.
a bunch of Thunderhammer bros with one human to lead them, one mighty human with a shield and a sword and hope. He's also like a knight, man. Like, how knightly is this guy? He's got just a regular sword, a regular shield. He's just a human out there kicking it. So cool.
But won't he be a bit suspicious of the Wolfen because they're like part wolf? He'll be like, there's a little bit of demon or something.
There are no wolves on Fenris.
I can write my own internal narrative. I'll be like, yeah, he's deployed a little bit further away because he's not too sure about them. Like, he's like stopping you overwatching so you can watch what happens. He's testing them. Yeah. See? It would be like Twilight all over again. Hashtag Team Jacob all day long.
Okay, good.
Hashtag
Someone's been watching some films.
Yeah. So thank you very much to everyone. What, you guys got any plans for 40k until next week?
You go for it, Tom.
I'm painting some Space Marines for this Trios event, I think, and then that's it.
I am playing some 40k Friday night at James Workshop in preparation for James Workshop winning the Games Workshop team event. That's what I'm doing.
I mean, Team
I'm
Draco
paint
split
loads of
now.
grav cannons.
Oh, really?
Team Draco split, so now there's an opening for you guys.
As the best.
What do you mean? What do you mean? We don't.
So
right for us to win. I see.
Yeah,
yes.
That's what I mean.
Well, there
Exactly.
you go. Are the purple nasties there, Tom?
No, I mean we don't get any soft score points anyway because all our armies look hideous. So. Also, I kicked off my final round. So.
Well,
I saw that guy at the LGT this week. Actually, he's a good dude.
Which dude?
Nice.
So remember we had a bit of a disagreement over the table about some information, And
Oh my god, yellow card.
I mean, he was always fine. Like we went for a drink afterwards, and he was fine. And he was at the LGT, so I like chatted a bit. He's a good dude.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Well, I guess what I'm doing. I'm building. I got bought Aeronautica Imperialis.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it on stream?
I might do. I'm going to build it up. It's like, little planes and stuff. What ho? Take to the skies. Can't wait to shoot you bloody orcs right out to the ground. That's how they talk, I imagine. And the orcs are like, what's that, gaffer? You can't shoot me.
Shoot them movement.
Yeah, shoot them newbies. What ho? I'm going to run rings around you, and then I'll be back home before tea.
You should just
I
do
like
an
to
audio.
imagine orcs talking like that as well.
What?
I like to imagine orcs.
Talking the same. Get on the Wazbomb, old boy. We've got to shoot those goddamn pink fellas out the sky.
More Dakar, I say.
More DACA for me. Yeah, like Hogs of War. I'm excited about it. That's going to be fun. So I'm going to hopefully play that sometime soon.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you, Nick, for being on the show.
Thank you, Rob, for being on the show. Also.
Thank you, Tom, for being on the show.
Thank you, Nick and Rob, for being on the show.
Thank you to the Twitch chat for being on the show.
And thank you to everyone watching on YouTube for watching the show on YouTube.
You guys are great. Also, thank you to everyone on the podcast for listening and imbibing water as often as you can.
Yeah. How are you ingesting the water? Drinking it or just absorbing it through your skin?
Yeah.
Anally, because it stops you from being dehydrated.
Is that true?
No, I don't. I saw it on Bella Grills once. If you give yourself an enema with the water, with like salt water, it's fine.
Okay.
Apparently, you can't use the bombers in the starter set unless you get the ground defences set. Games Workshop! I haven't even opened the box yet! I got it wrapped up as a present, and you're already fucking with me! I really wanted to use the Marauder Bomber! Such a bunch of money-grabbing bastards, aren't they?
Use it in 40k instead. I know it's like tiny, but I'm sure everyone will be fine.
I'll use it as a little marker.
Alright, fair enough.
Oh, damn it. Anyway,
just have it on a really high flight standard. So look, it's just really far away.
It's a Marauder Bomber.
It's just really far away.
Really far away. Okay, yeah. Anyway, that's what Penguin just said. I have the big ones. I want 60 baby ones as wound counters. 1, 2, 3.
How many boxes is that?
Quite a few. You can buy them at the start, I think. Anyway, well, I still am excited to play it. Screw you guys. Screw you, Games Workshop. I still want to just be a plane and go, what here, chaps? Fly toward those. I imagine it's more like, I've turned 45-degree angles. I activate my trap token. I don't know. I haven't played anything other than 40k NS in a while, so I'm very excited.
You played AOS Skirmish last year.
That doesn't count.
Okay, fair enough.
Ever. Yeah. All right. Well, you guys have been brilliant. Thanks for joining us.
Brilliant.
Please stop by next week. This weekend, we're not doing any live coverage.
Rob gets a weekend off.
Can have a little rest. But then we have got a bunch of events, including maybe within the next month, we might also be live stream a 40k event.
I know, it's mental.
Which is very, very exciting. So our second one in a while, which I'm hype about. So we'll let you guys know close to the time. Make sure we got that sorted. But as always, thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you for being on the Small Gamer. We'll see you guys soon. Love you loads. Don't forget to stay hydrated, and also
don't forget to play Hogs of War.
Don't forget to play Hogs of